Let's talk about a man called Gurpatwant Pannun.
Barkha, Khalistanis have really, it's admirable what they've done over there.
What do you mean admirable?
The way they have infiltrated the system. I read the entire case documentation and honestly, there is nothing that the Canadians have.
Are the Americans playing a double game here?
I think the Americans under Biden were definitely playing a double game. But notice how since the regime
Trump
has changed,
won.
Yeah, Trump has won. Pannu has stopped making videos.
Let's talk about what happened at the Golden Temple. Are we not internalizing the import of this?
For us Punjabis, Barkha, this takes us back to 1980s. Immediate.
In the way that other Canadians perceive this, they are not able to understand that this is an insurgent, violent, separatist.
It's a mafia. Make them understand the language they understand.
You are actually saying that the Canadian Khalistanis no longer need Pakistani patronage.
एक जमाना था बाला साहब ठाकरे के टाइम पे जब शिवसेना was the senior partner and BJP was the junior partner.
Yeah.
Now it's उल्टा. Terrorist relations में भी होता है कि पहले पाकिस्तान senior terrorist था और खालिस्तानी junior terrorist है. अभी खालिस्तानी senior terrorist हो. उन्होंने अच्छे पैसे बना लिए यार.
The farmers movement had many layers to it. But you are saying that some were engineered by the Canadians? Is that your allegation?
Absolutely. कभी सुना है Delhi Municipal Corporation passing a motion against Patrick Brown or something that Justin Trudeau has done? कभी ये सुना है? Your municipal corporation is passing motions about legislations in India. That's not foreign interference, but this is foreign interference? Give me a freaking break.
Kushal, you have brought home for millions of Indians the situation in Canada. I think many of us would not have known exactly what is happening there in terms of the patronage of Khalistani groups if it had not been for you. So thank you for that. But how is the situation today?
Well, it's in a precarious position right now as far as the relationship between India and Canada is concerned. I would be a liar if I wouldn't bring in the elections in America. I think that has created a unique break in the Indo-Canadian relationship. If you notice, since the election results of President-elect Donald Trump, you've seen that famous, rebuff from the Canadian government that, we didn't name Narendra Modi, we didn't name X, we didn't name Y.
Correct.
And I think that's literally happened because Donald Trump has.
So you think they're backpedaling?
Yeah, I think they are. They are backpedaling. Now, as I say that, the CBC did that atrocious piece of reportage. I don't know if you saw that hit job on, and I say this with full responsibility, it's a hit job on Pierre Poilievre. They say, how the Indian government interfered in the Conservative Party nomination where Patrick Brown, the mayor of Brampton, by the way, he was apparently winning, and then suddenly Pierre Poilievre got. It's ridiculous. Pierre was far more popular.
So basically, accusing India now of meddling in Canada's elections.
Yeah, they've come to a point where the real story is, which has been going on for a while, is the Chinese interference in Canadian politics. There is an actual CSIS report that says there are 11 members of parliament that they actually have the work on them. 4 names have been dropped by Sam Cooper in a press conference.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they don't want to talk about it. Look at the radio silence on that in Canada. And then CBC comes up with a ham-handed story of Pierre Poilievre. Narendra Modi wanting Pierre Poilievre to win was the most funniest bit, because then I was like, I didn't want to do this, but then I had to dig up old photos of Patrick Brown wearing a BJP ka scarf, and I tweeted it. I was like, wow, Patrick, tu to hamare saath ghumta tha. Patrick used to spend so much time in Gujarat. I think even when Modi was the CM, not even the PM. Patrick has been that old. And Patrick, the moment he got into politics, he was completely taken over by the Khalistanis, and everybody knows. You just have to look at how Patrick behaves. Like even the recent bubbles legislation that came up after the Hindu Sabha Mandir kerfuffle, they created a carve out for you can protest against the foreign government, Like, why was it that was literally done on the behest of the Khalistanis? And for the CBC to come out and say, oh, Patrick Brown was the real candidate and he lost because the government of India intervened, and then they bring in a backbencher MP of the Conservative Party, Michelle Rempel-Garner, who nobody honestly cares about in Canada beyond her constituents. Like, she's not mainstream news. So and the source of the CBC is Baz News. Now, Baz News is a non-Khalistani outlet. Baz News is banned in India. So, beyond the point, one has to ask oneself this question that what does Canada want as a country? What is the ultimate aim? And now with Donald Trump coming in, how are they going to manage this? Like, you should have seen. See, it's very important and telling that who Trudeau took to meet Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. You do not have Melanie Joly over there. You do not have Mark Miller, who is the Minister of Immigration there. You had the border minister who had gone with Trudeau along with his chief of staff. That's it. These were the three people who had gone there. And it says a lot that apparently from what we understand, whatever I've spoken to people off the record, is that he got a dressing down from Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago. And he's like, you guys better fix this or we're not doing.
How did Trudeau go from being so-called liberal poster boy to, I would argue, the most reviled global figure in India, more than the Pakistanis with whom we actually have an institutionally adversarial and complicated relationship?
See, Trudeau has done the impossible. He not only has destroyed Canada's image globally, even though this is an anecdote, but it's something worth sharing. So as I flew down to Delhi from Mumbai, just out of pure coincidence, I had a Canadian couple with me on the flight. And I did not know they were Canadians, but there was some Indian guy when we were having a coffee at the Delhi airport. And this guy starts saying, where are you from? And they said, we're from Canada. And the second thing that comes out of that Indian guy, random Indian guy's mouth is, why is your prime minister crazy? So look at what Trudeau has done. But what I was glad was, like, we like you Canadians.
Yeah.
He clarified that.
It's like not the people.
It's not the people, but we don't like your prime minister. And I could visibly see this, poor Gora couple, they were so, I was like, Arre baap re, main kya karu idhar? And then I was like, hey, I'm from Canada. They got so relaxed then that, oh, there's another fellow Canadian over here. So I was like, okay, where are you guys from? They said they're from Montreal. I said, I'm from Windsor, Ontario. We just started chatting and I was just calming them down. I was like, no, nobody dislikes you guys. It's just they have a bit of a thing. And look at the recent poll, Angus Reid. We have never seen negative rating against Indians in Canada. But Trudeau has done the unthinkable over there too. Now, my worry is that this negative rating towards Indians in general...
Why is that happening?
Because of this immigration fiasco. See, what happened was in 2022, the Liberal MP Randeep Sarai, he pushed forward this motion M44. What this motion M44 did was it allowed international students coming to Canada to work 40 hours a week. It's ridiculous. Aap padhai karna ja rahe ho na, you go and study. I was a student there. I mean,
the argument would be that it's to help them to make some money to pay for their education.
20 hours, Barkha. Okay. That used to be the standard norm. I mean, we've all gone outside India. We've all seen how it works outside India. 20 hours. I don't want a student to go to class and then work 8 hours a day. That's actually inhuman. So that's one, he allowed that. And all these temporary foreign workers to become permanent. And then I was like, who voted for the legislation? Unanimous, 324-0. Everybody in that parliament voted. They took a lot of these people in. Well, what were they thinking? A disproportionate number of them obviously were from India because international students usually come from India. Then you add to it that are they going to the University of Toronto, University of Windsor, Western? These are, respectable institutes there. No. There are 80 diploma mills in Brampton that suddenly crop up in the last 10 years and all these students are going to these places. Now, they're obviously not there to study. They're there to scam the system. And in that, then look at everyone who has come to Canada, whether it's even the gangsters, they've all come under the student visa program. So now we have a situation in India, in Punjab, whether we have to accept it, we have a problem in Punjab. The Punjabi society, the Punjabi economy. And like I've had random conversations with people where we just like, oh, munde nu problem hai, onu Canada page deo. I mean, what the hell is Canada your dumping ground where you have a child who's creating a ruckus in Punjab and you send him over there?
And we'll come to what's happening in Punjab, because we're talking in a week when there has been gunshots inside the Golden Temple. Sukhbir Badal has been targeted, and there's a lot to talk about there. But let's right now for a moment stick with Canada. Over the last few months, and you have documented many of these moments on video, shared them, amplified them, we've seen crazy things happen. We have seen open support for Khalistan. We have seen tableaus that celebrate the killers of Indira Gandhi. We have seen our diplomats, literally a mark on their back. We have seen, an attack outside a temple where there was actually a camp being run to help members of the Sikh community itself. Why is it that the Canadian people are not aware of all of this?
The reason is very simple. It was always brown on brown violence. That's how
it's been presented.
Yeah, it's always been right from the Air India bombing days. Air India bombing, where 300 plus people passed away, unfortunately.
Most of them Canadian citizens.
Yeah, Canadian passport holders.
Yeah.
But why did the Canadian Prime Minister call the Indian Prime Minister? It should have been the Indian Prime Minister calling the Canadian Prime Minister at that time, right? Yeah. But it's always been this, that, they have Canadian passport holders, but, they are these Indians. That is the general outlook of how people look at this. Now, something very important happened, taking you back to Justin Trudeau and why almost everyone now hates him. Not just outside Canada, but even in Canada. He broke the one code that Prime Minister Harper had. Prime Minister Harper had that line that I'm not going to go to any extremist place. It doesn't matter which religion they belong to. I'm just not going to go to a Khalistani Gurdwara, a LTT affiliated place, or a Islamist place, or anything, even white nationalist kind of a thing. Prime Minister Harper had the decency, and he had that line. Trudeau came in, he broke that line. And then what happened was Erin O'Toole was the Conservative Party leader. He also did not follow that line because, see, the Conservatives ape the Liberals in a very weird... They're not really conservative in Canada in that sense, right? They're not like the Republicans in America. They are just, soft Democrats kind of a thing. They're not really conservative.
Yeah.
So now with Pierre Poilievre, you've seen Pierre Poilievre also going to all these Khalsa parades. So you have to understand this in the context that Canada as a country has a giant ideological problem from Trudeau Senior to Trudeau Junior. Trudeau Senior in 1971 starts multiculturalism as a statecraft policy. It's an official ideology.
Yeah, but nothing wrong with multiculturalism. That's not the same as allowing rabid radicals.
But that's their understanding of it, because
so they think ye to inka culture hai. Let them allow. Yeah.
It's postmodern, right? We're living in a postmodern world where mediocre values, if not your, are fine as long as they are not imposed on you. And this is the doing of that policy that starts from, like, why is there a ministry of multiculturalism in Canada? I've never understood that. Like, if I'm in Canada, I'm an individual, I'm Canadian, it ends there, but no. And this is where it all begins. And that's why the Khalistanis have always had a free run under Trudeau, because he thought it's a very important area, right? This is around 25 to 30 ridings. So he can control that. And if he plays footsie with the Khalistanis and sufficiently with the Islamists, it's done.
You spoke of the Air India bombing. This is an issue that really agitates me because I feel like justice was never served. I have interviewed over time many relatives of those who were killed on board that plane, including one of the pilot's wives. And each person, whether it's Sanjay Lazar or Amarjeet Kaur, they will tell you the same thing, ki we're not going to get any closure because there's going to be no justice. Why have we as a country not made more noise about this? And today we see, and you flagged this to me first, we actually see a Canadian politician gathering or amplifying sort of a disinformation campaign about who was responsible for the Air India Kanishka bombing. Why are we not pushing this? Why are we not making more noise about this?
I think the MEA is incompetent.
That's a big statement.
I mean,
why do you say that?
Because I have, in the last 3 years of me living there, half of the year, I have seen, like, kya kar rahe hum log?
But diplomats themselves have a mark on their back.
diplomats have a mark on their back right now and from the 90s onwards. Like I know, I think, who was it? I think even Vishnu had said that when he used to live there and how his family was always under protection. The point is not that. We've never really negotiated hard. I don't know, there's something off in Indian foreign policy. Our foreign policy is only hard line when it comes to Pakistan. Even with Bangladesh, we don't have a hard line policy. India's foreign policy is like we only have nuclear mode with Pakistan and with everyone else, we are like, nahi, dekh lenge.
Well, to be fair, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. We only know what's said publicly.
Let's say we are going hard behind the scenes, Barkha. It has to be seen in action, right? Somewhere down the line, we have to see some action. The only change we see with Canada every time is either when we had the Harper period. Listen, the only time an Indian Prime Minister ended up going to Canada was when Prime Minister Harper existed. Because he was the only aberration in the norm of Indo-Canadian relations. It's been bad. I mean, you know it better than I do that we only had Modi going there once when Harper kind of mended it. Khalistan,
and before that, actually, Indian prime ministers weren't going to Canada.
Manmohan Singh Saab had gone once. But
I think for a multilateral and not a bilateral.
Not a bilateral
yes.
visit. But yeah, Singh Saab had gone there. But Khalistanis have really, I mean, it's admirable what they've done over there.
What do you mean admirable?
The way they have infiltrated the system. It's actually something to be studied, presented to different agencies across the world, how to infiltrate a society when you're just we're just 100,000 or 150,000 dedicated, ideologically driven people from 1980s onwards. I'll not name the politician. It's a municipal councillor in some part of Canada who tells me off the record that, my intern is also a Khalistani. Openly. मैं off the record बात नहीं बताऊंगा नाम, मगर it's insane. And you know how this person reaches out to me to maybe seek my guidance. He's like, what do we do for our community in general? Like when I say community, Canadians, not like Indians, like Canadian people. And I'm like, why are you reaching out? So like, you're actually respected in average Canadians now because you clearly care for them too, whether white or brown. So we were just having a discussion and the politician openly tells me, he's like, I don't know what to do. It's like everything that comes to my office, I know if it has something to do with India, it's going to get leaked. I was like, but then you fire the intern. I was like, who do I hire?
The other problem is this conflation between Khalistanis and Sikhs. In the sense, not in our minds, but in the way it's reported in the media, in the Western media, in the way that other Canadians perceive this. They are not able to understand that this is an insurgent, violent, separatist.
It's a mafia
campaign, for lack of a better word, and that when they were attacking the temple at Brampton, the people inside were mostly the Sikh community seeking consular help.
You go any day to the Hindu Sabha Mandir, you will see Sikh people worshiping inside, meditating. वो ध्यान मुद्रा में होंगे, भगवान के साथ होंगे अपने. Imagine, and it's very normal. But Barkha, again, we let this happen due to two reasons. A, the Indian government cannot get away with the simple fact. I know I've been there, multiple discussions on your channel where former diplomats will say, but we did tell our Canadian counterparts. I'm sorry, that's not enough.
So what should they do?
I think we should stop trade. I've been saying that from day one. Make them understand the language they understand. Any Canadian passport holder landing into India, how many times have we said tangible steps? Like for the first time in our history, we had 100 odd OCIs cancelled, was in the last 3 years. Why? Because how can it be that so much noise has to be created for even OCIs to be cancelled? Barkha, I know of a very prominent Canadian businessman who plays footsie with the Khalistanis.
Why?
Because you live in Canada, you have to play footsie with the Khalistanis.
They're that powerful.
Oh, jeene hi nahi denge. They won't let you live. Like whether you're a Hindu or a Sikh doesn't matter. Especially if you're a Punjabi and you're involved in the community, you're done. So they come after you in multiple ways because of the tacit state support under Trudeau. So this guy, he clearly is doing what he's doing. He's a very prominent guy. Why did the government allow him to come to India? Just this year, I'm talking about this year, not even a few months ago. मस्त में अपनी बेटी की शादी करा के गया है भाई साहब इधर. भाई नहीं आने दो ना. आपको अगर इतना शौक है तो रहो ना उधर. See, the reason they get more and more brazen is because they know the Indians will never respond beyond a point. And the Canadians have now accepted that baseline. The Indians just write letters.
Do you think it could be fear of reprisal against Indian students there? Because we do send the maximum number of international students to Canada.
Well, I think our students over there, right now, as far as the university system is concerned, they're very safe. As far as the diploma mills are concerned, they're not really students.
Explain that.
Because they are there, they don't study. Off the record, I've met at least 7 professors now who have told me these students don't speak a word of English. I don't know what they're doing in Canada if they don't speak a word of English or French, because these are the 2 languages of that country. They fail every exam. And then when they fail every exam, they put pressure through the same Khalistani networks to pass them. And I know 2-3 teachers, one quit because that person got so frustrated. They're like, I can't take this anymore. One fought back and successfully failed a few students. The others just let go and passed them.
Let's talk about a man called Gurpatwant Pannun and Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Now, normally, I would not amplify at all what Pannu, who is wanted under the National Security Act, would say. But the reason that it is sometimes important to talk about him is because of the brazenness with which he threatens India and the mainstreaming of him in not just Canada, but also in the United States of America. Now, I've asked you this before, but let me try and understand this again. The tensions between India and Canada peak over the killing of a Khalistani called Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Canada blames India for the killing. Gurpatwant Pannun, who is the lawyer of Hardeep Singh Nijjar and making all of these threats against India on a daily basis, including against Air India, civilians, everything, talks openly about the balkanization of India, is at the heart of a legal case now in the United States, where too there has been an allegation that there were attempts to take him out and those were caught by an undercover agent. That case is ongoing. India is cooperating with one and lambasting the other. Is this tenable? What happens when these cases overlap?
Yeah, but I read the entire case documentation and honestly, there is nothing that the Canadians have. All they have is those jibber jabber that is mentioned in the American documentation, which is where the guy is bragging that, oh, we are going to plan or we will do something in Canada. That's not evidence. First of all, hard evidence to be tried under the court of law is very different. I mean, the Canadians have accused the Home Minister of India. I mean, you have to be silly to make such accusations.
But are the Americans playing a double game here? Because the Canadians claim that the intelligence to them on the Nijjar case came from the Americans.
I think the Americans under Biden were definitely playing a double game. But notice how since the regime
Trump has
changed,
won.
Yeah, Trump has won. Pannu has stopped making videos. Pannu is only tweeting.
Yeah.
यार ये देखने वाली चीज होती है. Notice message गया होगा कि भाई अभी तू शांत हो जा. अभी सरकार.
I mean, there are those, I don't know what you think of this, there are those who believe that Pannu is a CIA asset.
I mean,
when I say those, I mean like, former INW chief Dullat has said it to start with.
See, these things
we don't know, and we may never know.
Honestly, these things are beyond my pay
grade.
Correct,
same.
And I have no delusions of grandeur about myself.
But the question is, if these cases overlap, what happens to the debate between India and Canada over the Nijjar killing?
I believe the biggest mistake people do is they don't understand the level of radicalism in Canadian society and the rot in Canadian society as far as a micro minority of the Jat community is there. I will not even say the Sikh community, I'll say the Jats. Because you just have to look at Peel Police, Halton Police, RCMP, any record, and you look at the name, you look at the group, it's overwhelmingly, unfortunately, in that one micro minority. And because of these violent criminals, the innocent Jat community members of Canada are also suffering. Because who do you think suffers the most because of these people? It's the Jats itself. Because वो बेचारे उधर काम कर रहे हैं और ये लोग उनको धमकी देते हैं. Look at the extortion calls and all these things are done. People often confuse the level of radicalism in America with Canada. I keep on saying you have to separate the two. Yes, I know, because in the overall American discourse, Canada to hamara 51st state. It is a country. It's a proper country which is very different ideologically than America. I always say America is a melting pot. So no matter what happens, right? You're still American. The gravy is the First Amendment, Second Amendment. Canada is a salad bowl. Everybody is individual in a dabba together. They're all ghettoized. Canada is ghettoized. The French will do their French thing. Italians have their Italian places. Yeah, Italians also live in Italian areas. They don't live in other areas. So it's very different. Canada is not America. The level of radicalism in the community over there, I'm sick. I get so irritated at times when I say, अरे radicalism क्या है? इतने सिख हैं यहाँ पे. मैंने बोला भाई इंडिया के नंबर कनाडा में क्यों ऐड कर रहे हो? इतनी मैथ्स की तो गलती मत करो ना. Let's say there are 800,000 legal members of the Sikh community over there. Add 100,000 illegal, because there are always illegal people. 900,000. Out of that, if 100 to 150,000 are radicalized, that's a gigantic number of radicalized people. That's more. That's almost 20% radicalization. If you have almost 20% and now reduce it, not more than 600,000, 6 लाख से ज़्यादा eligible voters नहीं है. और अगर eligible voters में लाख, आपके 6 लाख में से लाख radicalized है, imagine they can control 30 political ridings. So the reason Canada and America should not be connected is the level of radicalism in Canada is next level.
One of the arguments made by veteran diplomats, and you've been on some of these programs and discussions, is this is for Canada to address, not for India to address. These are Canadian citizens. This is now Canada's problem.
Now see, that's an easy wiggle room that Indian diplomats always tend to use is, okay, the Canadian passport holders are not the responsibility of the government of India. Indian passport holders like me are, right? Whether we live anywhere. नहीं तो फिर जब यूक्रेन में जब ये हुआ था, हमारे मेडिकल बच्चों को वो प्लेन में सुपरमैन टार्जन के जैसे जाके क्यों निकाल के लेके आ रहे थे? तभी भी बोल देते थे ना, तुमने सिलेक्ट किया था, जाओ.
वो तो हमारे लोग हैं ना.
तो ये भी तो हमारे लोग हैं.
मतलब हमारे पासपोर्ट होल्डर्स हैं, हमारे सिटीजंस हैं.
What do you think? One of the most interesting things about the Indian community outside India is that very few people give up their Indian passport. You have to ask yourself this question: why don't they do that? Almost every community that goes outside India tends to give up their passport. 2 reasons. A, India does not allow dual citizenship.
That's right.
India doesn't allow dual citizenship. And B, listen, I've seen it with my own mother-in-law. It came to a point where my own individual family, my wife, all the kids would keep on going after my mother-in-law. Arey, passport badlo. Every time we travel, we just go through everywhere and we have to wait because of you.
Yeah.
Because of the Indian passport. But she would not give up. She was so emotionally attached. My mother-in-law, she finally gave up like 20, 25 years ago. But she's been there for 50 years now.
Yeah.
So these are real reasons. So the Indian government and the Indian ambassadors cannot get away by saying that this is not our responsibility. There is a giant chunk of India. तो फिर जब रेमिटेंसेस आती हैं तब आपको बड़ा अच्छा लगता है. हमारा फॉरेक्स रिजर्व्स बढ़ते हैं, रेमिटेंसेस से बढ़ते हैं ना, तब तो बड़ा अच्छा लगता है इन लोगों को. तो फिर तब भी बोल दो नहीं, हमको कुछ भी नहीं चाहिए.
But other than halting trade, what else?
I think if we halt trade, it will really hurt Canada a lot. Because see, there is only hope. The only hope we have is most of the trade is with conservative governments, right? Because we don't have a free trade agreement with them. That's our only hope. Secondly, cancelling OCIs will give a little bit of confidence to the diaspora over there. The diaspora doesn't need Indian armed forces in Canada. That's not what they're demanding. The diaspora needs the Indian government to tell them, if push came to shove, we're there. And we will cancel the OCIs of all these people. Not even a single Khalistani or Khalistani adjacent person will be allowed to enter India. And the moment we do that, the diaspora will start standing up on their own. Listen, Barkha, I had never seen 5,000 people of our community come out for a rally to protest an attack on a temple in my 20 years of visiting Canada. This is the first time I saw. Even the people who have been living there for so many years, like, "Arey, itne log aa gaye," kind of a thing, they were shocked because the community is hurting. But if we don't solve this problem, I keep on telling, the problem will eventually bring itself over here in our own backyard. There are people, see, till now, the Canadian Khalistanis are not successful in India.
Yeah.
Let's not assume they will never be successful in India. If we care about our national security and our national interests in Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, Delhi, this belt, if we care for it, we should fix the Canadian problem.
Let's talk about what happened at the Golden Temple. Yeah. Let's start with the fact that there is a man linked to the Babar Khalsa, according to the Punjab police, who takes aim at Sukhbir Badal, who is offering seva as part of penance prayers. And we'll come to the penance part of it later. The fact that this could happen inside the Golden Temple, and we are just carrying on like this is just some, it's one more crime. I mean, are we not internalizing the import of this?
Well, for us Punjabis, Barkha, this takes us back to 1980s. Immediate alarm bells, like whether it's you. I mean, notice how Sushant was the first one. Shuru ho gaya fir se.
Yeah.
Because for us, it brings us back horror memories, right? Yeah. Our families being kidnapped, members of family being shot at. And I'm not talking about a Hindu perspective. I'm just talking about a Punjabi perspective. For us, we know when we see, ये फिर शुरू करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. Luckily, we had an officer like KPS Gill who really did a number on this problem. And, he fixed it, that aaj tak shanti rahi hai. But Canadian Khalistanis want this to happen. See, every time something like this happens in India, right, you don't check Indian social media. You check Canadian social media. You go to Canadian, American, New Zealand and Australian social media and you see what they are saying. And you'll always see a convenient connection between the two.
But one of the interesting paradoxes of Punjab is that every survey will tell you that the Punjabi is not interested in Khalistan. Right? The Pew survey shows that 95% of Sikhs are very proud Indians. Nobody's interested in Khalistan. In fact, as Dr. Pramod Kumar, who's an excellent commentator on Punjab, he said, Khalistan has thankfully been exported to Brampton. Let Brampton have Khalistan. The people react like this. But at the same time, one of the things he argues is that the space for moderate politics is shrinking and we are looking the other way. Why didn't Amritpal win? Why did Beyant Singh, the assassin of Indira Gandhi, his son, win an election? Why are we not talking about the dangerous politics? Even the fact that Sukhbir Badal and his party mates or colleagues were doing this seva. Nothing wrong with the seva. Why were they doing it? They were doing it because the Takht decided that they had to atone.
That's what scares me, is that why is this body called the Shiromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee and all these bodies, why do they have so much power? Like, imagine, Barkha, something like this, the equivalent of this in the Hindu community can never exist, because सबसे पहले तो हम जैसे लोग ही खड़े हो जाएंगे, बोलेंगे भाई कौन है तू क्यों मेरे लिए चौधरी बन रहा है, तू कौन है मेरे लिए चौधरी बनने वाला. But where is the voice? See, this is where the voice has to come from internally inside the Sikh community. कि आप क्या कह रहे हो? Like I remember reading old archives of India today where there were dress codes in Punjab. Have we all forgotten? औरतों के लिए ड्रेस कोड होते थे कि भाई आपने तो यही कपड़े पहनने हैं, ये नहीं. What do you think is going to happen if these people have sway over? Tavleen के ऊपर comments, she plucks her eyebrows. Pindramali used to have a giant problem with Tavleen plucking her eyebrows. Like, we want to go back to that. Is that the grand plan for Punjab now?
But then the Akali Dal should not have presented itself without protest, sweeping the floors and feeding. Please do seva. I think seva is one of the most beautiful parts of Sikhism. No, but I'm saying as a Punjabi with Sikh relatives, we love this idea of seva. But in this case, the seva is being done as punishment. This idea of blasphemy cannot be mainstreamed in India.
But Punjab mein to ho hi gaya na. You remember the 295 AA special life imprisonment for Beadbi. Why is Punjab, you remember the Punjab Punjab state government, and this was under someone I respect a lot, Captain Amrinder Singh.
Correct.
I mean, why are we playing footsie with the...
But when people are not interested in this politics, why are the politicians pandering to this politics?
I think they are, I mean, I can only guess, as far as Sukhbir Badal and the Akalis are concerned, they feel really threatened that their space has been taken over. And they feel in Punjab, every time the only card that works is the extremism card. And I would caution against this, which is where I go back, I wish the BJP and Akalis had their alliance back, because this was exactly what
they would have moderated each other.
They would have moderated each other, and start, you say this, and the BJP support base comes after me, and they're like, "Bhai, एक state इतनी important, 4 MP की seat इतनी important नहीं है, एक state ज़्यादा important." And I think it was a perfect alliance, and I hope they still find a way out, because the way they used to moderate each other. Because the classic complaint from the extreme element of the Sikh side would be that, अरे तुम अगर हिंदुत्व बोल सकते हो, हिंदू राष्ट्र बोल सकते हो, तो हम क्यों नहीं बोल सकते XYZ? And I would always tell them, do you understand there is no Hindu Rashtra without Sikhi? Like if ever there was a Hindu Rashtra or of that sort, they think you are part of them.
No, but I think the argument is that extremism feeds off extremism.
I know, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And this is where, again, I repeat, this gets fueled from Canada now. See, pehle the Canadian Khalistani needed money from Pakistan. Now they don't. They have a proper human trafficking, drug trafficking business. There's a lot of money in drugs, whether we like it or not. It funds not only this movement in Canada, remember the farmers' protest. Look at what kind of money was raised in Canada for the farmers' protest over here.
But we cannot also generalize. You see, the farmers' protest.
I'm not saying it was a Khalistani protest.
Yes.
Oh, there were many Hindus part of the farmers' protest.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
People from my community were part of it.
And military families and, sons and daughters of soldiers. And so I think, yes, there may have been elements in that protest. I have till this date never understood the character called Deep Singh Sidhu. Do you remember him? Yeah,
the guy who jumped the Red Fort ka flag wala
and dies a few months later in a car accident, right? And I remember interviewing him. I was covering the farmers' protest, and I remember interviewing him, and he kept defending Bhindranwale. And I told him, you are hurting. Apart from my fundamental disagreement with you on Bhindranwale, you are destroying the cause that you claim to be speaking for, which is about farmers. Right? And then he does what he does with that flag, and then he dies. And I'm just saying the farmers' movement had many layers to it, but you are saying that some were engineered by the Canadians. Is that your allegation?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not even, it's so open. Okay.
You see, a street movement, nobody can ever know who each person is on that street.
Why is the Brampton City Council passing a motion about a farmers' movement in India? Kabhi suna hai Delhi Municipal Corporation passing a motion against Patrick Brown or something that Justin Trudeau has done? Kabhi ye suna hai? Why is a Canadian Municipal Corporation passing motions? And the Canadians love to talk about foreign interference.
Yeah.
Your municipal corporation is passing motions about legislations in India. That's not foreign interference, but this is foreign interference. I mean, give me a freaking break, right?
Yeah.
So how can we not say these things are not influenced from Canada anymore? It is absolutely Canada now is the epicenter of Khalistani terrorism of the globe. Did you see the videos? I think Mocha Bezirgan posted of the New Zealand protest. I could recognize those faces because I've seen them in Canada.
Really?
So I travel. Yaar, chalo economy class में travel करते होंगे, ठीक है? Going from Canada to New Zealand, ये 50-60 लोग जो हर जगह जाते हैं वेकेशन करने, एक टिकट 1500 कैनेडियन की होगी. यार 50 लोग 1500 कैनेडियन, डू द मैथ, कितना पैसा है? एंड दे आर जस्ट ट्रैवलिंग
You brought up Pakistan. I'm glad you did, because there's a very important paper by the Hudson Institute that looks at the linkages in North America and Canada between Pakistan and the Khalistan project. But you are actually saying that the Canadian Khalistanis no longer need Pakistani patronage.
They don't need Pakistan.
This is not a Pakistan project anymore.
It is a Pakistan project where Pakistan, earlier on they were Pakistan's bacche. Now Pakistan is in that, you remember that अन्ना तुम संघर्ष करो हम तुम्हारे साथ है मोड. अभी क्या अन्ना के मतलब संघर्ष अन्ना ही करेंगे, क्योंकि अभी यहाँ पे क्या हो गया कि जो स्लोगन शाउटिंग पाकिस्तानी वो थोड़ा भिखारी हो गया टेम्पररली. तो अभी वो पाकिस्तान की हालत है, नंगा नहाएगा क्या, निचोड़ेगा क्या, तो अभी वो पैसा क्या देगा, वो तो अभी पैसे मांगेगा. They still ideologically support them. They still push them. Notice how no Khalistani flag ever has Lahore in it. They never had. हमें इतना बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट जगह है यार. करतारपुर कॉरिडोर नहीं चाहिए इनको, खालिस्तानियों को. इनको सारा कुछ इधर महाराष्ट्र तक पहुंच जाते हैं क्लेम करने, मगर वहां नहीं क्लेम करते. सो आई थिंक इट्स नॉट दैट देयर इज नो पाकिस्तानी कनेक्शन. व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज द रिलेशनशिप. लेट्स से आई विल गिव यू द एनालॉजी. एक जमाना था बाला साहेब ठाकरे के टाइम पे जब शिवसेना वाज द सीनियर पार्टनर एंड बीजेपी वाज द जूनियर पार्टनर. नाउ इट्स उल्टा. नाउ बीजेपी इज द सीनियर पार्टनर, राइट? ऐसे होता है. Correct. तो अभी ये टेररिस्ट रिलेशंस में भी होता है कि पहले पाकिस्तान सीनियर टेररिस्ट था और खालिस्तानी जूनियर टेररिस्ट है. अभी खालिस्तानी सीनियर टेररिस्ट, उन्होंने अच्छे पैसे बना लिए यार. जस्ट ओके, आप उनकी इंडस्ट्री सोचो. एक है लॉजिस्टिक्स. सो हाउ डू यू सक्सेसफुली make money if you are a narco terror kind of a group? You need drugs. You need human trafficking, which involves sexually abusing women too. So for that you need trucks. You need illegally यहाँ से वहाँ से यहाँ भेजना है, तो आपको trucking industry चाहिए. Who controls trucking in North America? Everybody knows. I have not made some path breaking discovery, and you just have to look at drug busts in North America. Whenever the government wants to catch them, they catch them. And the names pop up. It's for all of us to see. Like recently, Illinois police did a drug bust. 2 people, one 27-year-old, if I remember, one 36-year-old, were caught with 1,126 kgs of cocaine. And they were from Ontario, all the way in Illinois, in America. So ये एक आपका major money chunking होता है. और उसके बाद आप immigration scam कर रहे हो. You have members of parliament passing motions. Imagine the kind of money they must have made getting in at least 500,000 students. एक स्टूडेंट से $50,000 उठाए होंगे इन्होंने कितने पैसे बनाए होंगे इस प्रोसेस में. ये एक हो गया. फिर वहां आके उनसे अंडर मिनिमम वेज काम कराओ. लेट्स से द मिनिमम वेज इन ए स्टेट हाइपोथेटिकली $16 an hour. आप कैश में $8-9 में काम कराओ. इन लोगों को अब्यूज करो. बेसमेंट्स में रखो. एक बेसमेंट में 25 लोगों को. ये एक आ गया आपका पार्ट. देन देयर इज सो मच ब्लैक मनी जनरेटेड इन ड्रग्स. नाउ यू नीड टू मेक इट इनटू व्हाइट मनी. देयर यू हैव द म्यूजिक इंडस्ट्री. गाना गाओ, गैंगस्टर रैप.
No, but people will say, Kushal, that you have just generalized everybody in these spaces.
I have not generalized everybody. Everybody knows who's doing it. The beauty of it all is that same artist, when they sing in Canada, sing a very different tune. Same artist, when they sing in India, sing a very different tune. So it's for all of us to see. They're literally copying the East Coast, West Coast, Suge Knight era, Biggie and Biggie Smalls and Tupac era style over here. It's so obvious. It's so obvious to see. Like,
how do you look at the Lawrence Bishnoi story, which is now at the heart of the killing of Baba Siddiqui? It is at the heart of threats against Salman Khan. It is at the heart of the Sidhu Moosewala murder. Canada blamed India at some point for not containing Lawrence Bishnoi. We blamed Canada कि उनके लोग वहां बैठे हैं, आप कुछ नहीं कर रहे. ये क्या कहानी है?
मेरे को एक बात बताओ. Why are the Canadians not sending Goldie Brar back? कम से कम 4-5 साल हो गए इंडिया उसको वापस बुला रही है. And to say, like, I have so much regard for Terry. Terry keeps saying Indians don't give enough evidence. Just in the last 2-3 years, we've had successful extraditions from Rwanda, from Austria, from so many, from UAE, of Khalistanis. Is Terry and the entire political or the journalistic class in Canada saying only when it comes to Canada, we don't have sufficient evidence, but in every other country, NIA has sufficient evidence? It's not possible. The Canadians did not want to send them. That is point number 1. As far as Barkha, I repeat again, if almost 15 to 20% of a population is radicalized, what do you think is going to happen? They eat each other up eventually. Yes, there is, spillover to the general public, but the maximum, like, why is it so hard to believe that Ripudaman Malik, who was part of the blacklist, we know that for sure. That is one of the names that even the government said, the government बड़ी हमारी कमाल है, वो 300 नाम नहीं रिलीज करती blacklist के, मगर Ripudaman Malik का कर दिया. उसने वो लेटर लिखा praising Modi कि thank you for letting me back. Within a few months of him praising Modi, उनका स्वर्गवास हो जाता है. And he had a tiff with Nijjar is well known. Then we have that Sukhdul Singh case, and we have many such cases in Canada. Are we that naive to say that gangsters don't kill each other?
Which is how Nijjar was originally perceived to have been killed.
Yeah, the irony of ironies is that photo of Nijjar with a gun and his t-shirt says Banana Republic. I mean, it is for everyone to...
Dark humor.
Yeah.
But as an Indian in Canada, what does life feel like?
It's honestly, this is somewhere I want to stand up for Canada, right? क्या होता है, people are living here and this is हर जगह आग लगी, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Listen, what happened in Hindu Sabha Mandir really hurt the entire community because it's such that, we have BAPS, that is the largest, and then we have Hindu Sabha Mandir was really a pillar of the community in Brampton. Like, you have to go there to understand how much it means to the community, that temple. I think that's why 5,000 people turned up the next day also in less than 24 hours. There are pockets that are not safe. Car thefts have risen in Canada. No doubt about it. And Brampton has the highest car insurance rates in all of Canada now because of car thefts. There are pockets of Surrey, British Columbia that we have problems. But there are problems in other areas also where other communities are involved. But overall crime rate in Canada is not comparable to India. Yeah. Let's get real. You can just walk around. Like even in Brampton, like Abhijit was just like, I took him around. I was like, chal, main terko Brampton dikhata hu. He's like, hi, this is what first world ka third world would be. So he understood what, but I still fundamentally believe that Canadians are, and I've traveled the world now. Yeah. I think they're really decent people. They're very good people.
So this patronage is political. It's not the people's patronage. No, the people don't even understand what's happening.
But the people are getting frustrated. My biggest fear for the Indian community now is that because Trudeau has messed it up so badly, they will take it out on the people now. That's what my fear is that.
Finally, you've explained that is your fear for the people, for the Indian community there. Why should Punjab here worry?
Oh my God, Punjab should worry is because we don't have any economic model in Punjab. You know it better than I do. The economy is gone for like look. Imagine for a state being top 10 GDP per capita in the 80s. Yeah, and I think even in the 90s, Punjab was top 10 GDP per capita. Don't quote me on that. To now being number 19 and a broken society, a society where listen, have you ever met a relative who has not said, how main unnu chitta lende hue dekhya? Like chitta means, I think, drugs. So we know this is a problem in Punjab. The only solution seems to be go to Canada, as if wahan jaake unhone bade jhande gaad dene. They clearly, look at per capita differences in the Sikh that is living outside Punjab. And inside Punjab, they are flourishing outside Punjab. They are doctors, engineers, tech geeks. Yeah. But in Punjab, wahi gand, wahi gangster rap. See, I get worried when a young kid getting up says, my idol is Sidhu Moosewala. I get worried. Now, I think he was a great rapper. I will even I'll admit that Moosewala was talented. But that's not what you should look up to. Like, a society should not emulate certain people. They're allowed. I'm a free speech absolutist. Moosewala can sing whatever he wants to sing. That's not the point. My point is, what does Punjab do? Canada has exploited the Canadian Khalistani and Canada, both the Canadian state and the Canadian. Why is there a Chandigarh consulate? Why do we need a Chandigarh consulate? This is not foreign interference. तुम दिल्ली से काम करो ना, तुमको करना, बॉम्बे में रखो, इनको मुंबई में काउंसलेट करा दो, आधी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगी. शिफ्ट द चंडीगढ़ काउंसलेट. यू वांट अनदर काउंसलेट, राइट? कम टू मुंबई. You see how they will be fixed in 2 days because they cannot do these stunts in Mumbai. They see the Canadian Chandigarh consulate is, used for all sorts of weird things. And this is where, and again, do I have evidence? अरे evidence कैसे दिखाऊं? These things are told to me off the record कि भाई अगर मैंने कोई कनाडा में कांड कर लिया तो मैं किसी लो लेवल ऑफिसर को मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स के वहाँ पे रिश्वत दे दूंगा, एक दिन में मेरा पासपोर्ट बन जाएगा, मैं भाग के इंडिया आ जाऊंगा. यही तो चालू है. यहाँ भाग के वहाँ चल जाओ, वहाँ भाग के यहाँ आ जाओ, बस यही करते जाओ. और पंजाब, वी शुड बी रियली वरीड अबाउट पंजाब from multiple fronts, from the economy, from the society, from our messaging, from a political perspective. Like, tell me a leader in Punjab that you can look up to now coming up. Like, I have a lot of respect for some leaders in Punjab, whether it's Captain Amrinder Singh, Manish Tiwari, and many others. I genuinely have respect for them. Ironically, as a BJP voter, I have given you 2 congresses.
That's right.
Yeah, I've given you 2 congresses. But I have genuine, heartfelt respect for them. But where is the new leadership in Punjab? Can you sincerely, hand on your heart, point out to a leader in Punjab and say, "Ye Punjab ko banayega"? Because every time we see a new leader in Punjab, they seem to go ahead and say, "Oh, Panth Khatrich," and all that rubbish that every time is used. But where is the leader in Punjab who says, "Listen, enough of rice and wheat, let's grow lentils"? Yeah. Ask yourself, would Canada want Punjab to grow lentils? When Saskatchewan exports so much lentils to Punjab, this is where I keep saying Canada does not want Punjab to prosper. Canada has so many deep-rooted interests in Punjab remaining rotten to the core, which is why India needs to pay attention, because half of our problems are because Canada is creating them.
Well, that's a grim note to end on, and one I take personally, not just as an Indian, but also as a Punjabi. Kushal, always learn a lot from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.